The United States government paid $892 billion in interest last year. Not paying down debt, just interest. That's $2,700 from every single person in America. Babies, elderly, everyone, going to bondholders. Japan paid $120 billion. Germany paid $40 billion. Every country on earth is hemorrhaging money in interest payments. So here's the question that should keep you up at night. If every country owes money, who the fuck are they paying? Seriously, think about it. The whole planet is in debt. Someone has to be getting paid. You can't have 7 billion people in debt with nobody collecting. The math doesn't work. I spent 3 weeks tracking where this money actually goes. I interviewed economists. I read central bank documents. I followed the money. What I found isn't just corruption. It's a system so brilliantly designed that most people never realize they're funding their own exploitation. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. This is Maria from Athens, Greece. She's 67 years old and worked 40 years as a nurse. Her pension was 1,200 euros a month. In 2012, they cut it to 680 euros, then 520. They said Greece had debt, but she didn't create that debt. She just lost her retirement. Maria didn't cause the Greek debt crisis, but she paid for it. Her pension was cut by 57% to pay bondholders in Germany and France. Remember her, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly who took her retirement and why the system is designed to do it again. Here's what they don't teach you in school. Government debt isn't like your credit card. When a country borrows, they sell bonds. A bond is an IOU. Give us $1,000 today. We'll give you $1,200 in 10 years. Who buys these bonds? Banks, pension funds, wealthy people, foreign governments, and central banks. Here's where your brain should explode. The Federal Reserve creates money from nothing and uses it to buy US government bonds. Let me say that slower. The government needs money. The Federal Reserve, which is technically private but acts like government, creates dollars that didn't exist and lends them to the government. The government now owes money to an institution that invented that money 30 seconds ago. You can't do this. If you printed money in your basement and lent it to yourself, that's counterfeiting, 20 years in prison. When the Fed does it, it's called quantitative easing, and they win economics prizes. During COVID, the Fed created $4.5 trillion in 18 months. That's $13,600 per American that just appeared. Poof, existed. The Federal Reserve has zero reserves. The name is a lie. They have a computer and the legal authority to add zeros to accounts. That's it. So when you hear the national debt is $36 trillion, 30% of that is owed to the Federal Reserve, an institution that created the money they lent by pressing buttons. The debt isn't real, but the interest payments are, and you're paying them. You work 40 hours, you earn $1,000. The government takes $200 in taxes, federal income tax, payroll tax, all of it. Where does that $200 go? $40 goes to military and defense, $50 goes to Social Security and Medicare, $35 goes to poverty programs, $25 goes to interest on the debt. 1 out of every $8 you pay in taxes doesn't build roads, doesn't fund schools, doesn't pay for healthcare. It goes to bondholders. Who are bondholders? Let me show you the top holders of U.S. debt. Number 1, Federal Reserve, $5.2 trillion, created from nothing. Number 2, Social Security Trust Fund, $2.8 trillion. That's your future retirement. Number 3, Japan, $1.1 trillion. Number 4, China, $816 billion. Number 5, mutual funds, $3.5 trillion. Number 6, banks, $1.3 trillion. Number 7, pension funds, $1.9 trillion. Number 8, insurance companies, $800 billion. Number 9. State and local governments, 1.1 trillion. Number 10. Wealthy individuals, 2.4 trillion. You're working to pay interest to a central bank that created money from nothing, foreign governments, banks that already have billions, and wealthy people who have enough money to buy bonds. In 2024, the U.S. paid more in interest, $892 billion, than it spent on veterans, education, agriculture, transportation, and NASA combined. Your taxes aren't funding society, they're funding bondholders. Remember Maria from Greece? Let me show you what happened to her country. 2009, Greece reveals their debt is worse than reported. They owe 300 billion euros. 2010, the IMF and European Central Bank offer a bailout, 110 billion euros in loans. But the loans come with conditions. Cut government spending by 20%. Cut pensions. Maria loses 57% of her retirement. Raise retirement age from 65 to 67. Sell public assets, airports, ports, utilities. Increase taxes on workers. Greece followed every rule. Cut everything, sold everything. Result? The debt got bigger. Greek debt in 2009, 300 billion euros. In 2015, 356 billion. How? Because the bailout money didn't go to Greece. It went to German and French banks that held Greek bonds. The loan was a backdoor bailout of European banks disguised as helping Greece. Yanis Varoufakis, the former Greek finance minister, said this: "We were told the money was to save Greece. That was a lie. 91% of the bailout money went directly to banks. The Greek people got austerity, the banks got billions." Of the 252 billion euros in bailout loans, less than 5% stayed in Greece for government operations. 95% went to bondholders. Maria lost her pension to pay Deutsche Bank. The system isn't broken, it's working exactly as designed. Debt isn't meant to be repaid, it's meant to extract wealth from workers and transfer it to capital owners. Let me introduce you to someone. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock. BlackRock manages $10 trillion in assets. That's more than the GDP of every country except the US and China. Where's that $10 trillion invested? Government bonds, corporate bonds, stocks, real estate. When the US pays $892 billion in interest, where does it go? To bondholders. BlackRock is one of the largest. When Greece sold its airports and ports during austerity, who bought them? BlackRock-owned companies. The debt creates a cycle. Government goes into debt, pays interest to bondholders, BlackRock, banks, wealthy investors. Those bondholders reinvest in more bonds. Debt grows. Interest payments increase. You pay more taxes. BlackRock gets richer. It's not a conspiracy, it's just how the system works. Larry Fink's net worth, $1 billion. Maria's pension after austerity, $520 a month. The debt isn't a crisis for Larry, it's a business model. The wealthiest 10% of Americans own 89% of all stocks and bonds. When you pay taxes that fund interest payments, you're transferring wealth from the bottom 90% to the top 10%. It's not a bug, it's the feature. So who do we owe money to if every country owes money? We owe it to ourselves, but not equally. The debt is owed to central banks that created money from nothing, wealthy individuals who can afford to buy bonds, financial institutions that profit from interest, and foreign governments holding dollars from trade. The global debt is a wealth transfer machine. Your labor creates value. Taxes extract that value. Interest payments send it to the top. But here's what they don't want you to know. It doesn't have to be this way. Iceland in 2008. Prosecuted bankers, restructured debt, told the IMF to fuck off. Economy recovered in 3 years. Germany in 1953 had 50% of its debt forgiven by the Allies, called the economic miracle. Ecuador in 2008 defaulted on illegitimate debt, kicked out the IMF, increased social spending. Poverty dropped 38%. Alternatives that exist right now. Debt jubilee. Cancel debts to reset the economy. Done throughout history. Fed forgives Treasury debt. Delete the $5.2 trillion with a keystroke. Tax wealth, not labor. Make bondholders pay for the system they profit from. End IMF and World Bank structural adjustment. Stop debt colonialism. None of this is radical. The radical thing is the current system that says infinite debt is normal. Workers should pay interest forever, and central banks can create trillions for banks, but not for healthcare. Maria said this, "They told us there was no money for pensions, but there was money for banks. There's always money for banks." She's right. Here's what you do right now. Check your 401k or pension statement. Find the bond allocation. That's your money funding. Government debt. Calculate what percentage. Comment it below. Ask this question everywhere. If we can create $4.5 trillion for banks in 18 months, why can't we create money for healthcare, education, and housing? Share this video. Tag someone who says we can't afford that about social programs, but never questions $892 billion in interest payments. The debt isn't the problem, the system is the problem. And the first step to changing it is seeing it clearly. You paid $2,700 in interest to bondholders last year. Did you consent to that?